causing all of this? Why are we seeing so much battle bongo?
I mean, Orisa is a super strong tank to be running when you have long distance hit scan. She provides almost continuous protection with her shield, and the halt combos with your one-shot DPS. I mean, there's barely anything stronger than except maybe a halt hook combo in terms of ability to confirm kills. And probably one of the reasons why GRUNTo is running Cameron on the Orisa once again. Worked out so well. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Gladiators Legion, though, are going to go back to the drawing board, and what have they come up with? Goats.
Is he one of those Orisa mains we've heard about?
Oh my god.
In the wild, the legendary Orisa main. And so Cameron on this Orisa has been very, very good. You can actually see why he's good because of this right here, those halts. And halts, again, I believe are one of the hardest moves to use consistently because it's not all about just throwing that orb out there. It's about throwing
not
out
a fishing net. You have to be pinpoint accurate.
Exactly. You're serving your team a minuscule, a micro opportunity to potentially get those picks, and that's enough for Wub so far. But right now we've got Hartley in the air and Wub on the Hanzo. I'd love to see him on the Widow. Why change what's been working for you? But it's another sniper. Could totally be the same thing. And so far, GRUNTo Esports just developing that rocket barrage. And Rob Dad, we haven't talked about him that much, but during the break, Cam was like, you know who's actually been fragging out too?
Rob.
It's been Rob.
Yeah, I mean, there are just so many great things to shout out here on GRUNTo. Wub definitely taking a large part of everybody's concentration. Hardblue doing quite well here, has the barrage at the ready, but Rob, oh man, you know who's actually getting first picks on Volskaya and Busan? It was Rob's Zen. Obviously great setup from his main tank, but this guy's fracking ability, again, one of the original support players back when Ana was first released, and I'm so excited to see what he can do.
Legion finally find a pick. I feel like it's been forever since Gladiators Legion had something to work with on one of these points. The meal, though, on the ground was slept, so Rob going to continue contributing to the team. The Dragon Strike potentially can take water down. Cameron's going to get a melee kill on the Brig. That's got to feel good. Cameron getting 2 more kills. We don't know if he's an Orisa main or not. We know he's a European transport who's just subbing in today, but his Orisa has been just as good as everyone else on this team. You can't really see the difference. Some other times when you see subs come in, you see like a very distinct kind of drop in play.
There's like a little crack in the gears, and the wall to deny the jump. We've seen it all, folks. The bash, the halt, the boop, and now the wall. Oh, that just feels so bad. Stand 1 only going to be sliding down on the ground from that wall. And Gladiators Legion getting purpled here by yet another excellent anti-nade from Rob. Doing pretty well here. It's possible. Fairly even. Wub needs to stay alive, and it looks like he will.
Emil trying to get back into that mech. This is one of the most slipperiest baby divas that you had ever seen, my friends. As GRUNTo Esports are potentially going to have to use that res on to Wub. Rob's going to get rigged out of the fight, so now Zolik has a little bit of a decision to make. Are you just going to let them spawn? Are you going to save this res for a little while longer? You're going to go ahead and use it for Rob. So there is someone who is going to have to walk back on to at this point, but GRUNTo Esports, even though they're all playing different characters at this point in time, they're playing just as well as the last 2 maps. Gladiators Legion now under a minute.
Yeah, under a minute and under tons of pressure. Water going to swap onto his own Faro, but Hardblue has barrage, and you don't. Gladiator does find this kill. Bomb from Emil comes up with a music.
Yeah, and Emil's going to get saved by the sound barrier as well. So this is Gladiators Legion's first opportunity to make anything happen since, I believe, Control so far here. And, on Volskaya, it was a little bit of Gladiators Legion at the beginning, but they did fall apart near the end. And so with little time to spare, Gladiators Legion are going to put on their, put on their pants, get back on to the point, and take some names, take no prisoners. They are going to fall. A couple of them are going to be casualties of this fight, and it's not over just yet. As Stand 1's going to get that Primal Rage kill on to Wub. We're potentially going to be seeing some changes from GRUNTo or Legion as they do get themselves off of this point, but it took overtime, and GRUNTo Esports are going to give up this point. Gladiators Legion absolutely need. They are required to take this momentum through stream phase.
You only have 2.5 minutes, and that is no time at all for anybody who's played Kings Row to get that point B. And at that point, you also need to think about finishing out this map, because this is no longer a time where people say, oh, Kings Row, you got 2 points, that's totally fine, that's going to be enough. not only do you have to finish, you probably need to go into extra innings as well, especially against a team that excels at attack like GRUNTo. And already Harbu here hassling Emil. Gladiators Legion, sticking with this Perdita comp, there's very little that they can actually do against Harbu in this air. He only needs time in order to get his ultimate attack.
Yeah, a lot of things happening there. Gets zoned out by his own wall. Wub going to find another headshot onto Rolf. There are no safe spaces for Gladiators Legion right now. Wherever he can see you, he can get you. Wub is, he's it right now. He's hiding underneath the gutter. He's hiding in the corners. He's still going to get you, though. And he's been getting those heads. He already has wall hacks. Got to deal with this Widowmaker. A big reason why Legion were able to capture that first point was they probably were so ready to deal with this Widowmaker, and then it wasn't there. They could have done. They played their own game instead.
Yeah, exactly. And now they're going to try and play GRUNTo's game. I would say we've tried this 2 times before. Maybe the 3rd time is the charm, but Wub already activates Infrasight. Dalton and Water, neither of them can peek unless they want to get their heads taken off. This is really a case of hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your widow, hide your Lucio. Nobody is safe from Wub, and if Wub doesn't get you, Harblue will have barraged in no time.
Oh, there it is.
There we go. The kill does come through. This is an opportunity, and the kill has been spread thin so far, and again, not going to have enough.
That's like when, actually, I'm going to stop that sentence right there because things might change. Rolf is on it. The ground is antied as well and gets taken down. GRUNTo Esports still holding strong on it as a defense, but what I'm saying is GRUNTo found that pick, right? They finally got the Widowmaker out of the game. It's like when a friend gets you an interview and then you just bomb the interview, right? It's like, oh, we got you there, but you got to finish, and Gladiators Legion were unable to finish.
I set this whole thing up for you, dude, and Wub taking down Rolf with a melee kill. That is just how this whole series has been going so far. Emil's going to buy a bit of time, but Stand 1 is asleep. Half of Legion get anti.
Half of Legion get anti, but they got the initial pick, so this is definitely Legion's game at 2-2, but the Blizzard's going to take a lot of the field away from them. Stand 1 has to use the Fortify to stay alive. Wub, though, not going to get headshot himself. The difference between a pixel could be Web being dead and continuing to throw damage onto Gladiators Legion, and at this point in time, Legion are making the right move right now. Wub has not made contact in this specific engage, and they're going to go ahead and focus on what's around the payload instead. This time around, GRUNTo Esports with Cameron going down means everyone else is going to be a little bit less protected, even though Cameron is not really going to protect the Pharah in the air, right? In the end, Legion still, I think, making the right choice there. Let's let Wub do his thing. Let's take everyone else out instead.
Yeah, exactly. Focusing on the Widowmaker has gotten them absolutely nowhere so far. Might as well try and win the ground game. You know that 2 of the DPS are playing at range, so the point pressure, the cart pressure is actually not that great from GRUNTo. Gladiators Legion have swapped Water onto the Genji for a potential overtime blade, but it is so close. Harblue, though, does go down, D.Va out as well, so Gladiators Legion looks set to take points.
Yep, Wub is trying to get some damage, and they are able to get the D.Va, and they could have gotten the Mercy as well if Water wasn't deflecting at the time. Rolf, though, does finalize the kill onto the Mercy, so no res is available for GRUNTo. Wub's going to get another shot onto the Roadhog, and the shield's a little too high, so if you're on the ground, Wub can get ya. Dalton, though, going to get a couple more kills. Maybe he's the Widow that we should be talking about right now, as once again, in overtime, Gladiators Legion are going to get this point. Dalton is the one with a hot hand right now, and this is what years I remember when Overwatch was which Widow was on the current hot streak, was the Widow that was winning for their team. But right now, we've talked so much about Wub, who's off the Widow, that tells you a story, and it's Dalton.
Dalton making a ton of progress with Cameron, who had swapped onto the Hammond earlier on, so no static shielding for GRUNTo, and Dalton was able to find the shots, but now he needs more than just mechanical aim. His team needs time, his team needs kills. Water, so close, this is gonna be a free blade.
Oh, there is a hook that goes through, and Cameron's going to jump into the back line, and he's going to be literally all by himself, but Wub is going to take down the Roadhog as well, so 5v5. Water going to use that Dragon Blade. The D.Va's not going to last very long. It's all about what happens after this. They got to maintain their presence on at the point, and they are able to take the Zarya out of this game. Solico going to get a kill onto the Genji, and every casualty at this point on after post 30 seconds becomes more and more important if you're both teams. Now that you're GRUNTo, you're in a do-or-die situation against the Legion team that you've been holding all the way up until overtime so far. The Gladiators Legion must feel pretty good about this, as Cameron going to be taking a ton of damage before making it onto the payload. They're going to have to use their cooldowns on it in the Reinhardt instead, and now the Battle Bongo, that supercharger, is out as well. Hardblue's able to take it down. The longer that stays up, the better that team becomes. Water gets another kill on this team, but that's still anyone's game. Water is also going to continue on their hot streak so far here on the point, but the kills are being traded. Traded kills are better for the defense. Let's see if the defense are going to be able to maintain that statement, as Rob Dad comes in with 2 kills and 1 on the Mercy. Without the Mercy, this becomes exponentially harder for Gladiators.
Yeah, and Transcendence couldn't come a second too soon either. Rob takes down the Hog. This guy has been insane. If Club's not on Widow, Rob will pick up the damage, and Gladiators Legion's window of opportunity slowly, quickly closing on them, and that's where the buck stops.
What I know, we've been lauding a lot of praise on GRUNTo, and Legion, you know, did find themselves there at the end, but something I feel like GRUNTo is doing that, you know, Phase 2 and Bermuda aren't, is their team-oriented play has been beautiful at times. Like, we saw it in the replay a little earlier. We saw it here on Kings Row, but more so on some of the other maps with, you know, you got Wub getting, you know, focused on by the Hanzo, but who's there? Who hooks the Hanzo, right? Everyone's got to, you know, everyone's back, and
everyone has their role to fill.
It's that trust, right? That a lot of these teams are still developing, and it takes time, but GRUNTo, you know, I think with the opportunity to play with 5 of the same members pretty much from last season, has really leveled up. This team is not the chicken contendies of last season. Hardblue hasn't gotten the Grav Eaten so far. Helps if you're not playing Zarya. But like with GRUNTo and what they're running, they're taking, you know, that advice that Monte Cristo gave Outlaws not so long ago, right? If you're not going to win that Goats v Goats duel, then just don't play it. Right? And I think GRUNTo Esports is one of the first that adopted it here in Contenders. We're seeing how successful they are from it. And Cameron on this Orisa has been solid, super solid, which is exactly how you want to describe your Orisa.
Oh yeah, and Cameron actually does something that, you know, a lot of Orisas may not be able to do. He picks up frags. So a lot of times the role that a diva fills, she's kind of an all-around protector, right? She's good at offense and defense, and boosts into that backline Zen, gets in the last, peppers in the last bit of damage, and finishes that kill. Cameron's been filling that role for GRUNTo, who have not run, who have barely run a diva at all. Usually Salty is on Sombra, someone else. Gladiators Legion, though, what helped get them that close to finishing the map was deciding to give up that Widow v Widow. Sure, Dalton, of course, you know, doing really good, holding his own later on in the fight, but they put Rolf on the Roadhog and focused on winning the tank battle. If you can control the cart, then you know, won half of the fight.
This fight has devolved right now as Gladiators Legion find a couple picks to start things off. GRUNTo Esports are going to have to try once more. You saw it happen in your eyes as everyone was like, oh my goodness, I'm about to die. GRUNTo Esports does actually die, and they're going to have to attack you.
At Luddy now, the bloodthirsty support, picking up 2 kills for himself. I love this aggression from Legion. They're like, hey, we can't sit on our heels against GRUNTo. We have to take the fight to them, because by the time they get to us, they'll have an insurmountable advantage.
Yep, so GRUNTo Esports trying to take the defensive out of the equation for Legion as well. Like, what do you make it? Do you make it a rocket? Or your rockets are coming from above? You're going to get that Zenyatta out. You're going to get 2 kills, and that's exactly what you want, that 2-for-1. A twofer, as we like to say in this business. What's going to get stunned? 1 HP and a 3. Let's see if we're going to be able to get that res off, as now that GRUNTo Esports has lost some members, things are going to take a little while longer before they can actually get on to the point, so that time is coming very soon.
Yeah, and the res comes back onto Wub. He's back on the high ground too, which is going to be super scary. He's got the wall hacks. See Stan 1 trying to conserve his shield. He knows there's barely anything he can do without his team behind him. Oh, that's a risky peek. Rolf ends up looking out for him, takes Wub down to just 8 HP.
Still has 8 HP. He's going to go ahead and find that health pack into the statue. Water is going to be taken down. Oh my goodness. So is Dalton, and that's the thing, when you're a Widowmaker, right? Things happen in streaks. It's all about keeping the streaks super close together, because it's impossible for him to be Pine in this situation, right? Pine is Pine, right? And in this situation, Wub now has the hot hand. Do not switch characters at this point in time, because I'm expecting even more coming from a Wub.
And Rob on this Hanzo has been amazing too, but you want the security of the Transcendence. Going to swap to the Zenyatta. Honestly, like, his fragging ability doesn't seem to change depending on whether he's Hanzo or Zenyatta. Oh, and Dalton now, he's so close to grab. He could have gotten an early one, but he's forced to hold back to heal up. That is the power of Wub's Widow.
And so the Supercharger is going to get delivered on the payload, so whenever this moves, so will the team, and this is going to create a lot more time for GRUNTo Esports to set up on it. The payload, Salty going to use that EMP, and that's going to help that rocket barrage. Salty on it, the Sombra. GRUNTo has played so many different heroes so far. I would have appreciated the crowd.
Maybe a spray, an artistic spray. You know,
yeah,
just
but in the end, GRUNTo are running a ton of different characters, a ton of different heroes, and finding success on all of them. Heartblue can play things that aren't Zarya, right? He can play that fair in the air. He's probably even the best Roadhog on the team and isn't even playing it, right? So, you know, Rob Dab showing up on that Roadhog. And so GRUNTo Esports, in my mind, has evolved in this game into an absolutely terrifying, game for anybody, and I'm already thinking about the future for this team. They got to win this map. Gladiators Legion, though, having a really hard time getting anything started now that Wub's back on this Widow.
Yeah, this is a very tough task for Gladiators Legion because they have water now on the Sombra. Originally, he was showing the Hanzo. His Brigitte was doing absolutely nothing against Wub. Actually got headshot into oblivion. So Legion are trying to flex, but the fact that Emil has a hard time playing the Sombra is really hampering them. D.Va does not provide as much value today as she did even a month ago, and being forced to run a D.Va essentially because of your players means that Legion can't flex to some of the more wacky out there comps that might be able to take advantage of Water's Genji, of Dalton's hero pool. So they do still have 4 ultimates and must continue to hold for 3 and 45 seconds.
3 and 45 seconds indeed, HamTornado. Gladiators Legion, they're going to suffer an early casualty once again. Water is hacked, so he's not even going to be able to hack. When your Sombra is getting hacked, not only the one that was supposed to be running a Emil's been running Sombra, Water's now on the Sombra. This seems so reactionary and things that Gladiators Legion don't necessarily even want to do right now. Here on King's Row, GRUNTo Esports are very close to winning this out. Salty going to use that EMP. 4 members are going to be hacked. Rob Dab going to get that pick onto Stand 1. Cameron going to follow suit. GRUNTo Esports going to be painted purple, and Cameron going to be taken down, and the EMP going to come the other way. That's 5 people for them, but there were no ultimates online, so GRUNTo Esports are probably still with how this goes on. They're still going to find themselves ahead in terms of numbers, but this Earth Shatter should clean things up for Gladiators Legion, and this is the position that Stand 1 has been forced to be in on many occasions. He's been the hero.
Yeah, it's always Stand 1 coming in. That's what saved Gladiators Legion from a map 5 on Havana. A miracle hero shatter from Stand 1, and he does it again here on King's Row while GRUNTo is distracted. But you can't rely on a single player to hold your team together. We got to see a bit more production from the rest of the members of this Legion squad. And so far, that's been hard to find. Dalton, though, does have grab available, but Harbo could drop it first.
Here we go. This is Gladiators Legion, my friends, using that nano, using Stand 1's hammer and a body to just so much discord into GRUNTo Esports, so much so they got to think about it in spawn. Gladiators Legion are holding on, but they still got over 2 minutes remaining, and GRUNTo are coming up on an EMP. Salty just 30% away. That can be a couple clips for them.
Yeah, this is still a really uncomfortable position for Gladiators Legion. We can't relax just yet, but Stand 1 nearly has yet another shatter. Weaponize your Reinhardt.
Rob going to go ahead and use that Transcendence as the Blizzard's going to block off some of the playdown away. Earthshatter goes through. Cameron not going to find anything. Down there are going to be doing the same, and thank goodness, because half of his team is on the ground. The wall going to separate Dalton from his team. Cameron going to get that Fire Strike kill onto Water. Stand 1 will follow. EMP is next. 4 members are going to be hacked on Gladiators Legion. This should be a map and series win for GRUNTo as they take down Gladiators Legion in the 3rd week here, going to 3-0, and GRUNTo have only lost 1 map so far throughout the season. And, something we didn't get to talk about at the beginning of the game was GRUNTo's strength of schedule has not been super strong up until right now, coming up against another undefeated team, just 2-0, yes, but the Legion, especially after that playoff performance last season, were expected to compete for number 1.
Oh, yeah.
And now we have to expect that top spot's going to be potentially going to have another member, which is GRUNTo Esports. We haven't seen them against Atlanta Academy. That's going to be in the future, but GRUNTo solidified themselves as definitely a playoff contender, definitely a contender to go to Gauntlet potentially, potentially, and they're the real deal. They are 100% the real deal. That was so much
genuine
growth.
article. It was a masterclass on how to exploit your opponent's weaknesses. And I think that's the scary thing for Legion. It's, they're growing. And I think that they're still in, contention for the top half in this group. But after, taking this really, unfortunate beating from GRUNTo, you have to start reevaluating, what your team's going to be all about. Because the thing with Legion, all the way back into the Panker days, is they tend to respect the dance. They play slow. They like to play calculated, right? They give their opponents a lot of respect.
Closer to how NYXL tries to play.
Yeah, kind of like how NYXL likes to play. And, GRUNTo, they just... I mean, even back when they were chicken tendies, taking Fusion University by absolute surprise with their main tank.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right? Just how do you deal with a team that's so aggressive? You always have to, you end up becoming the person who has to make the first move every time, because if you wait back, they're going to just jump you. And speaking more technically, it's just really unfortunate that I think, a big part of why Legion struggled was they were really unprepared, because Water played Brig, he played Genji, he played Sombra, he played Hanzo. It never seemed like any of those looks fit him, right? He was trying on a closet full of his dad's clothes. And
what a crazy screen. I'm sorry. Like that's crazy for me to think about. That just happened.
And it, Legion were basically throwing spaghetti at the wall and trying to see what sticks. And while that can work sometimes, if it's simply, my comp is not as good as your comp, we're going to try and fix, a mechanical issue in the heroes that we're playing, it could work. In this case, no. You just by running a Sombra so you can have a counter Sombra is not going to win you a map against GRUNTo. Water got hacked by Salty's EMP. That's something that should never happen, right? Mm-hmm. And that just kind of goes to show how much Legion were struggling against, what GRUNTo was bringing. And hopefully they'll go over the tapes and, kind of figure out, how can we shore up these weaknesses? Because this is not the improved Legion that we've come to know this season.
I think this is GRUNTo leveling up more so than anything else. Like, I think Legion could go up against another team and an Uprising Academy, and things would be totally different based on play style. Something like you mentioned earlier was Legion has always struggled against explosive type of teams, right? Teams that can get the lawnmower started. I love this analogy, on just one crank, right? And then they just go. And GRUNTo Esports has honestly always been one of those kinds of teams. We haven't seen these two teams play before. So GRUNTo Esports, and when they were chicken tendies, they were that explosive. Yep. And so let's see if they're going to be able to continue maturing in that way.
They might be going a bit more for the stationary bunker, though, because you were asking for it earlier, and we got it. Love on his Zillion hero of today, the May this time around, so Hardwood can pick up the Zarya, stopping up this cart, and Legion gotta be frustrating.
Oh, that's gotta feel good, man. That's like
it's
like
that popping a pimple.
Yeah,
annoying you
or like
for
that
a
burp
week.
after you've been eating a lot. You're like, I can eat more,
right? And then you just
great.
Get
for
it out
you,
of
Water.
your
I'm so
system.
happy that they were able to do that, because the last thing you want to do, especially in a game like this, is be held by that kind of strategy, right? So get to your barrage. They had the Junkrat as well. That was perfect to counter that, and the barrage gets literally everybody. The Water gets that, I think, Penta or Hexa kill there at the end, and now they're going to come into the rest of this with so much more confidence that I expect Legion to continue the momentum, possibly even here on Dorado. That's exactly what we're going to see so far, is Water on the Pharah finally finding a look that is fitting him like a glove. It's not the Genji, it's not the Sombra. This time around, it's Water on the Pharah.
I'm chuckling because you can feel the intent behind every single rocket, right? He's not just pressing mouse 1. I'm pressing mouse 1. You are going down. Love this from Gladiators Legion. This is the decisiveness that we know that they had in them. Water also breaking free from Brig Jail. Nearly has barrage, but you gotta watch for
Oh my!
What a crispy drop!
Goodness gracious! The flick, the drop. I know it wasn't a headshot, but to have the ability just to do that. Like, I don't think I'm capable of making shots like that unless it's on accident. And so GRUNTo Esports now going to bring it back here on the defense. Gladiators Legion have that momentum, and one of the best momentum stoppers in the game is Widowmaker, right? You can be having the game of your life, and then one shot takes you right out, and everything's over.
I mean, Logic single-handedly held Paris essentially just in the first week, so it's certainly possible. Dalton here trying some shenanigans, but his Mercy's gone. Legion needs to make their support line come back in. So this is just more ultimate charge for one.
Good for them. They got a couple kills there in return. GRUNTo Esports and Gladiators need to now find themselves at 4v4. Water going to use the Rocket Barrage to keep the monkey away, but actually gets taken down by Salty in the meantime. He is going to finish off the kill on to Cameron. So GRUNTo Esports on it. This defense have quelled Gladiators Legion. That hook is definitely going to help, and I'm glad to see Harblu on Roadhog. Remember, we mentioned that Harblu is probably the best Roadhog onto this team. And the RobDev had a really great showing on it. Salty going to get 2 more kills. You know, this is actually something we talked about. It's almost before this game. I was like, you know, it just seems like the world, like the energy of this world want GRUNTo to succeed. And situations like this kind of make me believe it, right?
I mean, hey, they are proving their horoscopes right if there are cosmic forces at work here. Water now back on the Genji, and Emil picking up the Reaper. Why not get a bit more frontal brawling here, because Harblu's Roadhog has just been raining free this entire time. You have to do something, and Reaper might be the answer. The duel's going, but there's the whole hawk. No! Man, this is...
no bad reactions from GRUNTo there. They're probably going to use in this fight, but again, they're making Gladiators Legion work for every single kill. None of this is coming easy for them, and that's the kind of like the Legion name of the game. Everyone seems to just make them work so much harder than anyone else, and in the past, Legion has been like, yeah, we'll just outwork you. We're workhorses, right? This time around, though, GRUNTo Esports, I think this matchup has just been harder for Legion in general to stabilize in any way, because we'll get moments like this, or even at the beginning of this map, they do have over 2 minutes remaining, so things have been going well for them, and Dalton getting the better of Love is how they found success in the past in the series. We just need to keep this going, because right now they are in control.
Yeah, GRUNTo are more than happy to play this stalling game. They've already taken the series on Water, immediately getting rebuffed, and the blade damage nullified by the sound barrier. This is just such a feels bad. I think he's like, I don't know, like 0.5 for 3 blades now.
That's Genji in 2019. Really, Water, though, going to get that Swift Strike, a kill. It's almost like the Dragon Blade makes you worse, right? It's like you get the Dragon Blade, you get booped, you get hacked, you get stalled, there's a Waywall in front of you. There's so much that can go wrong, but at least you're taking the cooldowns away from Gladiators Legion since they're investing them all into the Genji. Everyone else can feel free to put in some work.
I mean, it's certainly eye-catching. You pull out your blade, you start glowing in the air like a cybernetic hedgehog. It's a different game. But Gladiators Legion have managed to find point B, so that's always good news. And now the question is, how are they going to find the map finish? Genji, a very hard hero to wield on point C. Dalton has already swapped onto the Zarya, and GRUNTo is sticking to their guns. Harblu's still not picking up the Zarya. He's on the Mei this time around. So Legion still have to think a little bit outside the box with this hero.
Yep, so Harblu's going to try to cause some disrupt with that wall, with a little bit of that spray, as well as Princeton is going to get used early on. They did just use all the routines. The Zenyatta Rob knows that he has some time to get to a Transcendence. Once more, Water going to finally use that Dragon Blade, and most of the time it's just press Q to deflect, but this time around he is going to find some kills. Water taking Dolik out. This is the momentum that they've throughout the series, but only just now is GRUNTo allowing them to continue to have it, and Gladiators Legion just a little bit too late. I think if they played like this, you give them 3 more games, they come out on top. However, we are already on a game 4. Gladiators Legion are approaching the last point on Dorado.
Yeah, and no ultimates for GRUNTo. They gotta build up this blizzard or this bomb really quickly because Gladiators Legion, Emil's already letting his soar.
Oh, RobDev going to be taking it through. That's a mental mistake that should not really happen at this stage of the match. GRUNTo Esports also going to get painted purple. Cameron's going to get a charge kill. That's probably going to be it for GRUNTo Esports on this push. Gladiators Legion finishes the map. And again, I think like the way that this is going right now, GRUNTo Esports potentially starting to lose that, that moxie that maybe it's because they've already won and they're taking a little bit of a break. This is definitely, I think, with records, not an upset, but with names, definitely an upset. Anytime you have an unsigned team, other than GRUNTo is technically an organization, not technically, they are an organization, but they're not an organization through an Overwatch League team like Gladiators Legion is. GRUNTo Esports exceeding expectations regardless of the result of Dorado here. But Gladiators Legion, I'm so happy that they're doing this because other teams, I think, would have just fallen over.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and they would have resigned themselves.
Exactly. They're not going to let themselves do that. And Water having a game. All they needed was a 6-man Rocket Barrage, right?
Yep, to get the blood pumping, get the juices flowing, the mojo back. Gladiators Legion, they just need to hold now. Their defense has been one of the weakest parts of their kit. But GRUNTo Esports, you know, again, it's definitely admirable that a non-academy team doing so well against an academy team and all of, you know, the resources and support that confers, and especially more impressively for me, the fact that they're functioning with a new main tank, right? This is, we don't know if GRUNTo has had tons of scrim practice with Cameron, but he's been showing up amazingly. Obviously, his Orisa has been top tier so far. I mean, definitely in contention for best Orisa so far in Contenders, but his Reinhardt is nothing to sneeze at either, able to hold his own largely with Stand 1, who is a monumentally amazing Rein. So GRUNTo now just need to do the same on their own attack, and this is where, you know, Gladiators Legion, they're certainly getting their mojo back. You can tell that they were getting slightly frustrated with how GRUNTo was stopping them earlier. Now, on the defense, they can't let that aggression go unchecked because Water dives in and immediately gets killed, even though he gets a trade. It's okay if you're on the attack and able to control the pace, but when you're on the defense, you do need to play with a little bit of a colder hand, have a bit more calculation for each of these engagements.
Wub gonna bring out the Genji himself. He saw the Genji Master Water and said, you know what? I think I can do it too. He's gonna go ahead and unleash the shurikens, hopefully, and get some kills. We haven't seen a ton of that outside of Dragon Blade kills after all the cooldowns have already been used. Is Cameron gonna jump into the back line and get a kill onto Dalton's Widowmaker? Wub is hacked, but with 2 kills already on the board for GRUNTo Esports, this is gonna be very hard for Legion to take control back. Both getting a kill definitely helps, but Salty getting 2 is gonna be the confirmation they needed.
Yeah, GRUNTo executing a really beautiful dive there, led by Cameron on the Winston this time around. Again, this is kind of, you know, Gladiators Legion, they did really well playing their game on their attack. On the defense, you also have not only have to play your own game the best you can, but you have to be able to realize, you know, what is GRUNTo's best game. Dive has always excelled at taking down the back line, which is exactly what GRUNTo ended up doing, and Gladiators Legion unable to heal for their supports, so they lose the first point in the very first fight. Hopefully we won't see any more mental lapses like that.
Harbor's going to go ahead and hack the pack just in case, and it's going to be up in no time as he joins the team. GRUNTo Esports also painted purple. Cameron going to have a hard time getting healed. He can't do it. Gladiators Legion also have the nano, but that's about it. Love's going to get that nano blade going, and a huge fleet from Rolfa. He gets woken up immediately, so all the value gets taken away from Gladiators Legion, and I see how that happens. You're so focused on dealing with the get. You almost can't even expect the land. It's just so hard to do, but there are moments in that animation that do render him vulnerable. But this fight's still going on. GRUNTo Esports going to go ahead and use that self-destruct and take out Dalton on that Zarya. GRUNTo still on this attacking side, getting more kills. They will be continuing on this payload, and they have over 4 minutes left.
Well, Salty hasn't gotten, you know, incredible burn-our bombs or crazy bombs like Fry did back in the day, FRD, excuse me. You know, he manages to pick these kind of out-of-system kills when you're not expecting the Diva Bomb as a fight closer in overtime, to, you know, buy space, to engage a fight. That's when Salty seems to get the most success with these bombs, and a lot of times you only need 1 kill to turn the tides of momentum. He is now, however, taking a very inopportune nap.
Oh, they're going to go ahead and use Salty as bait instead. Salty is alive, my friend. Somehow he survives. Cameron actually going to get that first blood. Sandwin's going to hop away during the Primal Rage. He's going to leave the payload a little bit open. He's going to come in behind GRUNTo Esports. That is a great opportunity for Gladiators Legion. They kind of forgot about the monkey, I think, or were so focused on moving the payload that the Stand 1 Primal Rage went from no value to a ton of value.
Exactly, and sometimes you just need to know when to hop out of the fight for just a second, and GRUNTo definitely a bit too focused right there. Stand 1 comes back in, and great primal from Stand 1, and he is an excellent Winston player. You could argue that his Winston is actually better than his Reinhardt even, so no surprise that he got a lot of value from his primal, but he doesn't have primal right now. and this has been where Legion have struggled in the past. How do you win against this Grunto team in the neutral fight? They'll also be available.
Let's see, they do have the rally. They are going to have a beat as well. And they're going to go ahead and aggress. You see Water shield bash into the fight to get some good positioning, and this is the explosivity that Grunto was pushing towards Legion the whole time previously, and now Legion are saying, you know what, it worked against us, let's go ahead and use it against you, and this kind of play seems to be effective just in general.
And they were buoyed with that rally as well. Sometimes you don't need, you know, like eye-pop and flashy ults. You just need a bit of that advantage, and the shielding provided by the rally can be it. Stand One now will have Primo once again, and rolled very close to the Nano. We saw a sick sleep earlier on that ult in Genji, and he could easily do something like that again as Grunto takes the long rotation onto the high ground once more. No ultimates for them. So when they do make the decision, Zolak's going to speed boost them into the body of Gladiators Legion, see if they can catch somebody.
There's still not a lot online for GRUNTo Esports, so this should be another fight win for Gladiators Legion, as World's going to throw that purple behind, and Cameron's going to be one that's painted. He still is alive. GRUNTo Esports doing a good job holding on by the skin of their teeth, and when you're doing that, you're not usually contributing to the fight, as Dalton going to force the rest of GRUNTo Esports away, and the best part about all of this is Gladiators Legion have not given up a ton of charge.
They haven't given up a ton of charge, they haven't used many ultimates, and they're buying so much time. Only a minute 20 seconds left now for GRUNTo Esports, and they're facing 5 ultimates on the Legion side. Bar some kind of huge bungling, Legion win this.
Sound failure to counter the Graviton surge, but it's 5-man purple from that roll is definitely going to hurt that Transcendence. The EMP comes through, self-destruct does as well. Rolf Stand One are also going to be using their ultimates in a tandem. Primal Rage is going to try to throw some discord into the back line. The particle barrier is going to definitely help his cause, but right now GRUNTo Esports staying alive somehow, right? And the reason why I say that is Gladiators put everything they had into this fight, but GRUNTo Esports are putting everything right back.
You can see Stand One trying his darndest to focus down the Grunto back line, but nobody else was able to get through that Rhine shield to help him out. And now the tides have turned. Harper able to flip the tables here on Gladiators Legion in conjunction with Cameron, and the cart just slips past their feet.
2 points for GRUNTo Esports. Gladiators Legion still in at this fight. They still don't want to give up this defense, and they are able to get a couple of kills. Water on this Doomfist was there just to try to get to the point in a time, but now he's going to be stuck on it until he dies. See how long he's going to be forced onto this Doomfist, and sometimes when this happens, the blessing in disguise, and the Doomfist is going to be the one that makes everything happen, and that's exactly what we're going to see. He's going to charge up that Rocket Fist. The uppercut, though, is going to find that kill on to Rob Dab, so it's a 6v5 now for Gladiators Legion, and this means that GRUNTo Esports have been functioning down a man pretty much for the last minute and a half, as the Doomfist is going to get into the back line. It seems like they might have forgotten about it, as another rocket punch into the wall is going to take down Wub this time around, who, when he's not on that Widow, when he's not on that DPS, GRUNTo Esports at this point functioning not as good as their first 3 games.
No, indeed. They really do rely on their DPS to do DPS things, and as much as we like to gripe, Brigitte is still largely a support hero in her own right. Water doing really well to pincer Grunto from behind with the rest of his Legion squad. And now Grunto themselves find just 40 seconds between them and a map loss. Not going to feel too bad. It's the first map loss against Legion. Really want this.
I think this Doomfist has been working, so why not keep on it? You haven't died just yet. 16% to that Meteor Strike. The reason why I say that is with 1 or 2 kills that can pop up in no time. Dalton going to continue the momentum on the defensive side for Gladiators Legion, but a return kill from Robdab going to make things a little bit interesting. Self-destruct, not going to find anything. Will Grunto be able to stay on this payload with everything that Gladiators Legion can throw at them? The answer is no, as Stamlin gets a couple kills, and with 7 seconds left, this should be the end of GRUNTo Esports here on Dorado.
Salty desperately trying to stall things out for just a little bit longer, but this Doomfist has been working wonders with for Water, where his Genji failed to find the frags. He has been one-shot killing GRUNTo Esports left and right, and that will be Legion taking the map of Dorado, going 1-3 against GRUNTo.
Adjustments definitely being made, but I think that's a case of too little, too late for them, as GRUNTo Esports is going to take the series 3-1. I think the player of the game is super easy for this one. It's going to be Wub on that Widowmaker, but he was very quiet there on a Dorado. So maybe if it's a map type thing, it's something that they could continue to work on as we continue on through the season. But GRUNTo have proven themselves to be a terrifying out for any team that goes against them.
Oh yeah, no, I would be super scared. And the other thing is they have so many looks, right?
Yeah.
Even though Wub is amazing on Widowmaker, it's not as though he wasn't great on Hanzo. It's not as though Harblue's May wasn't doing some work. It's not as though the Torb wasn't functioning, pretty well. GRUNTo just really seemed to trust each other and be able to find synergy and teamwork and be able to keep track of who's where and what's most important, even in crunch time of overtime. And that's something that is really hard to teach. Right. So when it comes down to, coaches giving their teams those pep talks, it's one thing to be like, okay, well, play some more aim hero. And so your mechanics will be better. It's another thing to be like, hey, if you're getting pressured as Widow, it's okay. Just relax, play your best game. And Rob will be able to hook that annoying Hanzo away and kill him. Right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, GRUNTo Esports have, I believe, officially arrived in the upper echelon of the Contenders, especially after that win. So congratulations to you, Snaps. Indeed for GRUNTo Esports, but that's going to be it for our second game. We still have 2 more on tap. The next one's going to be Uprising Academy versus Sky Foxes. That's going to be a nice litmus test for both teams as well. We're learning a lot about everyone during this 3rd week. Let's see what we're going to learn about Uprising Academy and Sky Foxes after the break.